Texas. It's a land of barbecue smoke curling into sunsets, highways that stretch until the horizon runs out of patience, and houses that, depending on where you look, either cost less than your car or more than a small country. The headlines love to talk about Austin bidding wars, Dallas suburbs exploding, or Houston's sprawl swallowing everything in sight. But what they rarely tell you is that Texas still has corners where affordability is not a myth. These aren't fantasy places. They're real cities where mortgages don't come with defibrillator paddles, where rent doesn't eat half your soul, and where life, work, community, family feels like something you can still shape with your own two hands. They're not perfect. No city is. But they balance the scales in a way that might surprise you. So tonight, we're counting down the 15 most surprisingly affordable cities in Texas. We'll go from number 15 all the way down to number 1. Weaving through pine forests, desert plains, border towns, and coastal breezes. Along the way, expect history, humor, and a few quirks, because Texas never does ordinary quietly. Let's dive in. Number 15. Longview, Texas. Longview is tucked into East Texas, a city that thrives on equal parts grit and greenery. Oil put it on the map in the 1930s, but today, Longview balances energy, manufacturing, and a growing healthcare sector. What really sets it apart, though, is the combination of affordability and lifestyle. Houses here routinely list for half of what you'd see in Austin, and yards aren't postage stamps. They're actually big enough for a Saturday barbecue without your neighbor breathing down your brisket. Longview has a small city feel, but enough amenities to keep you entertained. There's the Great Texas Balloon Race, where dozens of hot air balloons paint the sky in July. Downtown has been quietly reviving itself with art galleries, breweries, and live music venues that don't require a VIP wristband to enter. And when you need green space, Paul Borman Trail winds through town like an invitation to slow down. Yes, summers here sweat like a furnace, and mosquitoes train for the Olympics. But the trade-off is simple. A home you can afford, schools with community investment, and the kind of neighbors who lend tools before you even ask. Longview is where Texas proves affordability still blooms, sometimes under the shadow of a balloon drifting overhead. Number 14. Amarillo, Texas. Amarillo is where the Panhandle says, "Howdy," and the horizon stretches like it's daring you to measure it. This is cowboy country. Route 66 country. Stake the size of your head country. And it's also an affordable country. Homes hover far below national averages, and the cost of living here gives families breathing room. Amarillo has its quirks. Cadillac Ranch, a row of half-buried Cadillacs covered in graffiti, sits just west of town, a permanent art project and photo op. Palo Duro Canyon, the second largest canyon in the United States, is basically Amarillo's backyard. And don't forget the famous Big Texan Steak Ranch, where a 72-ounce steak challenge has humbled many a hungry traveler. The city blends ranching roots with modern industries like aviation and energy. Winters bring a bite. Dust storms show up uninvited, and the wind seems to have a personal vendetta. But Amarillo's charm lies in its resilience and affordability. If you want wide skies, outdoor adventure, and a mortgage that won't choke you, Amarillo is proof that Texas still has room for dreamers, especially the ones who don't mind a little wind in their hair. Number 13. Odessa, Texas. Odessa is oil country through and through. Pump jacks nod along the highways like mechanical metronomes, and the city's economy has long followed the booms and busts of black gold. But here's what's often overlooked. Odessa remains one of the most affordable metro areas in Texas. Houses sell for prices that seem frozen in time compared to Austin or Houston, and the cost of living has stayed reasonable, even as the rest of the state skyrocketed. Odessa also has grit. Friday nights revolve around high school football. The city inspired the book and TV show Friday Night Lights. There's a replica of Shakespeare's Globe Theater, because why not? And the Permian Basin has been diversifying, with jobs in healthcare, logistics, and education balancing the oil field economy. Sure, it's dusty. Summers can fry an egg on your hood, and the skyline is more drilling rigs than skyscrapers. But Odessa offers space. Space to grow. Space to save. Space to actually live without turning your paycheck into confetti. If you measure success not by the number of coffee shops per block, but by how much home you can buy for your buck, Odessa deserves a serious look. Number 12. Midland, Texas. Just 20 miles east of Odessa lies Midland, the other half of the Permian Basin powerhouse. Known as the childhood home of President George W. Bush, Midland has always carried an oil-stained reputation. But beyond the rigs and refineries, Midland quietly delivers one of the lowest costs of living in Texas for a city its size. Downtown Midland has been modernizing with new restaurants and cultural centers, while families gravitate toward spacious homes in planned neighborhoods. The city boasts strong schools, a thriving art scene, and the Wagner Noel Performing Arts Center, which attracts concerts and Broadway tours that would make bigger cities jealous. Yes, the landscape is flat and brown, and the dust storms don't exactly scream paradise. But Midland offers stability, affordability, and a strong sense of community. If you want a Texas city where opportunity is tied not to trends, but to energy and effort, Midland is a solid contender. Number 11. El Paso, Texas. El Paso sits on the far western edge of Texas, where cultures blend seamlessly and the Franklin Mountains rise like sentinels. It's one of the most unique cities in the state, and one of the most affordable. Home prices here are nearly 40% below the national average, and the city consistently ranks as one of the safest large cities in America. El Paso thrives on diversity. The food scene is a cross-border masterpiece where tacos, enchiladas, and gorditas reach legendary status. The military presence from Fort Bliss anchors the local economy, while the University of Texas at El Paso adds youth, energy, and innovation, and the natural beauty is undeniable. Hiking in Franklin Mountain State Park, river views along the Rio Grande, and desert sunsets that set the sky on fire. The city doesn't escape challenges, economic inequality and desert heat among them. But El Paso's affordability, safety, and cultural richness make it stand out. It's proof that you don't need skyscrapers to build a life full of flavor, warmth, and possibility. Number 10. Tyler, Texas. Tyler sits in the piney woods like a postcard someone forgot to Photoshop. It's the Rose Capital, and it lives up to the nickname. Gardens, festivals, a whole civic personality that smells faintly like petals and pride. The vibe is small city confident, a medical hub for East Texas, a university presence, neighborhoods that prefer porches to penthouses. Housing stays grounded because Tyler never pretended to be something it isn't. It's comfortable, not flashy, capable, not chaotic. Weekends feel like a choose-your-own quiet. Stroll brick streets downtown. Wander the zoo with kids who still point at giraffes. Or head for lakes that turn a hot afternoon into something forgiving. People wave when they drive. Coffee shops ask about your day and actually listen to the answer. You'll trade marquee nightlife for backyard evenings, but the trade returns dividends in peace. Tyler's secret power is balance. Healthcare jobs keep the lights bright. The university keeps the conversations lively. And the trees keep the summers survivable. It's not the place you brag about to impress strangers. It's the place you brag about when you're finally tired of performing. Schools have that everyone knows your name feel. Neighborhoods swap plant cuttings and recommend roofers like they're trading cards. The biggest drama might be a thunderstorm rolling in like a drum line and leaving the sky. Number 9. Beaumont, Texas. Beaumont is where Texas history discovered pressure, and pressure discovered oil. Spindletop blew in 1901 and changed the world's machinery. The city never forgot the sound. Today you'll see tank farms and refinery stacks, but you'll also find neighborhoods where old oaks arc over streets like green cathedrals. The price of a front porch stays human because the economy is practical, blue-collar, and busy rather than glossy. Living here is a study in contrasts. Cajun flavors lean across the Sabine. Shrimpers and plant workers share diners. Weekend warriors trade steel-toe boots for fishing rods. The Big Thickets Tangle sits just up the road. Wild, wet, and humming with life. Beaumont asks for resilience. Hurricane prep kits near the pantry. Patience when the wind turns salty. Respect for work that runs 24 hours at the docks. In return, it gives you what many coastal places can't. A mortgage that doesn't feel like debts. You won't get influencer glamour. You'll get neighbors with extra gumbo, a mechanic who remembers your name, and a house that costs what a house should. On fall Saturdays, tailgates sprout like mushrooms. On summer evenings, the porch swing keeps better time than any smartwatch. If your heart likes places with a little grit under their fingernails, Beaumont will make sense immediately. Number 8. Harlingen, Texas. Harlingen rests where Texas leans into the tropics. Palms line streets, bougainvillea climbs fences, and winter has the good manners to keep its visit short. The city's affordability comes from quiet competence, steady healthcare, cross-border commerce, and a pace that treats stress like an optional add-on. People come down for a season and realize the math works for all 12 months. Life stretches wide here. Early mornings mean birdsong over resacas, the oxbow lakes that lace the valley. Afternoons drift toward taquerias, where tortillas taste like home. Evenings can point you toward the causeway and the island's surf if you want the Gulf's blue to rinse your week. Housing remains reachable because Harlingen doesn't spend money on pretending. It spends it on being livable. Yes, wages trail the marquee metros, and yes, the sun can turn dial to sizzle. But budgets relax in a way they haven't in years. And when the breeze kicks up and the sky bruises purple, you'll remember why people smile so easily this far south. Street murals bloom. Plazas fill for music. And your grocery bill looks like a typo compared to the one you left behind. Number 7. Brownsville, Texas. Brownsville is a border city with a frontier heart. Rivers meet tides here. History meets tomorrow, and prices still shake hands with reality. Downtown wears its past in brick and tile. Neighborhoods speak in 2 languages and 1 friendliness. The city's story stretches from ranchers and soldiers to ship channels and spacecraft, and somehow it all coexists under a sky that loves dramatic sunsets. What catches newcomers is the range. Birders catalog miracles at the refuge. Families picnic beneath live oaks, and across the flats, you can see the future lifting on columns of light. You can eat breakfast that tastes like Abuela's kitchen, lunch that tastes like the coast, and dinner that tastes like ambition, all while paying for a home that doesn't ask you to become a speculative asset. Are there rough edges? Of course. Border complexity, summer heat that glows, neighborhoods that need investment. But Brownsville answers with community, music, and a sense that you can still build something here without an invitation from a millionaire. The island is a quick drive when you need salt on your face. Downtown is a quick drive when you need art on your walls. Number 6. Corpus Christi, Texas. Corpus Christi is in Texas with salt in its hair. The bay turns mood silver. The sea breeze edits the heat. Gulls referee arguments over French fries. A port, a naval air station, a working shoreline. This is a city that earns its living from wind and water. Prices stay grounded because the economy is tangible. Ships arrive, planes train, rigs supply, and people make a life between tides. Weekends carry options that smell like sunscreen. Wade into the bay, chase speckled trout, pedal along the seawall, watch kitesurfers draw calligraphy across the ski on rough days. The Gulf flexes and the city hunkers down. Resilience is part of the culture, along with coolers, kayaks, and an instinct for checking the radar. Inland, neighborhoods offer yards big enough for dogs with opinions and friends who know how to smoke a brisket without bragging. Corpus doesn't promise luxury. It promises an address near the ocean that your budget can actually pronounce. You'll learn the names of winds, the difference between a storm watch and a fisherman's hunch, and the particular satisfaction of hosing sand off a happy kid's feet at dusk. Number 5. Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock is an honest horizon. No mountains, no pretense, just sky so big it edits your thoughts. The wind is irregular, the dust a seasonal guest, and the sunsets a nightly standing ovation. Affordability is baked into the flatness. Land is plentiful, streets are sensible, and houses come with rooms instead of apology notes. A major university lifts the conversation and the calendar. You can feel the rhythm of semesters in the cafes, and the stadium roars in autumn. Music history hums here. You pass a mural and suddenly remember a chord progression that changed the radio forever. Art and agriculture cross paths in charming ways. A gallery inside a former warehouse. A food truck parked beside a cotton field at golden hour. Commutes behave. Parking exists. Let's meet means 5 minutes, not 45. Yes, a road trip is required for mountains or coasts. But a home leaves room for hobbies, and the budget leaves room for plans. Lubbock's gift is permission to build a life without theatrics. Saturday markets trade recipes with guitar riffs. Weeknights surrender to board games, intramural leagues, and porches that host actual conversations. Number 4. Wichita Falls, Texas. Wichita Falls wears durability like a denim jacket. The Air Force trains pilots here. The city trains residents in patience, humor, and the art of making a good time without a concierge. Houses are attainable, yards are real, and the weekly schedule includes both lake sunsets and hardware store runs. It's a place where your hobbies expand to fit the garage and your friendships expand to fit the patio. Downtown keeps its brick bones and grows into them. Breweries in old storefronts, murals that tell jokes, events that close a street so neighbors can bump into each other on purpose. Trails stitch parks together, and summer heat plugs right into river floats and shaded porches. The sky is a big character, sometimes gentler than you expected, sometimes dramatic enough to send you to the hallway for a few minutes with the radio on low. Career climbers might need creativity. Niche industries don't stack 10 stories here. But the equation works. Costs that listen to incomes and time that listens to families. If you measure wealth in weekends free from email and evenings free from gridlock, Wichita Falls starts to look downright fancy. Number 3. Abilene, Texas. Abilene arrived by rail and stayed for community. The city learned early that steady beats flashy. Schools that show up, churches that organize casseroles in under an hour, and a downtown that decided its historic theaters deserved another bow. You notice the manners first. Door holds, yes sirs, and then the mixture. Cadets jogging at dawn. Families stacking folding chairs at dusk. College kids debating everything in between. Affordability here is a palette, not a promise. It lets you choose. Renovate a bungalow with a deep porch, or buy new with a living room big enough for a second Christmas tree. Groceries and utilities don't ambush you. Insurance conversations are boring in the best way. Friday nights belong to football until they belong to community festivals. And the local museum field trips are as reliable as the Blue Northers that visit each winter. If you need skyscraper ambition, you'll look elsewhere. If you need room to raise people and projects, the map starts pointing to Abilene. The city's superpower is ordinary dependability, the kind you only notice after it's taken 6 problems off your plate and left you holding a Saturday. Number 2. San Angelo, Texas. San Angelo is a river town in ranch country, which is to say, it refuses to be only one thing. The Concho loops through like a ribbon, tying parks to music to long walks after dinner. Fort Concho keeps its stones and its stories. The art scene hangs color where you didn't expect it, and housing prices keep their sense, smiling politely at national headlines. The city learned to be self-contained a long time ago, and turned that independence into charm. On a weekday, you'll see pickup trucks with brush guards nose to nose with hatchbacks carrying cello cases. On a weekend, you'll taste the region. Steak that tastes like miles of grass. Salsa that tastes like sunshine, and pastries that disappeared from their tray because someone told one friend. People here collect practical skills and unlikely hobbies. They also collect neighbors. Jobs are reliable rather than glamorous. The airport is cozy. The night sky still has opinions. But the rhythm is enviable. Work that ends at dinner. Costs that leave room for savings. And a city that remembers your name after you move in. When the river throws a breeze across the water at dusk, you'll decide, quietly and definitely, that you made a good call. Number 1. Killeen, Texas. Killeen is gravity. It pulls people from everywhere, spins them through seasons of training and deployment, and teaches a city to be welcoming on a deadline. The result is a place with big city size and small city prices. Neighborhoods with starter homes that actually start. Apartments that don't audition for luxury. And shopping that assumes you have both errands and a life. The map says Central Texas. The sidewalks say everywhere at once. The base, Fort Cavazos, sets the heartbeat. Steady, serious, diverse. Restaurants read like a passport. Barbers learn to say next in 3 languages. Schools become experts in both stability and flexibility. Does the city have rough patches? Absolutely. Fast growth stretches roads and patience. Certain blocks ask for attention, and crime statistics need honest work. But affordability remains the lever that moves possibilities. Families buy earlier. Singles save faster. And newcomers discover that we can do. Killeen isn't trying to be pretty. It's trying to be possible. In an era of housing drama, that's a radical kind of beauty. The payoff is simple. A front door you can call yours. A car note that doesn't pick fights. And weekends that aren't stolen by commutes. For many, that's not just affordable. That's freedom. Quick pit stop before the top. Start living in your head rent-free. If this tour is helping you see Texas with new eyes, tap like and subscribe. One click tells the algorithm you prefer real options over real estate fairy tales. And it helps me keep mapping out the places where a paycheck still means potential. Things to watch out for. Affordable doesn't mean frictionless. Property taxes in Texas take a big bite. Learn the exemptions and don't be shocked at escrow season. Transit is the family car. Plan for maintenance because buses won't bail you out. Weather plays every instrument in the orchestra. Heat that shimmers. Wind that editorializes. Storms that rehearse too loudly. Local job markets lean practical. Military, medical, education, logistics, energy. If your dream job requires a corner office above the clouds, you'll commute or you'll compromise. Neighborhoods matter more than city limits. 2 blocks can change your experience. Walk them. Visit at night and at noon. Talk to teachers, librarians, and the person who fixes lawnmowers. They know the real story. Ask a grocery cashier which day the line gets longest. That's the pulse of a town. And remember that affordability is a moving target. Arrive early, invest in relationships, and help hold the ladder for the next family. Also, be honest about your own non-negotiables. Need the ocean? You're choosing between gusts and glory in Corpus. Need shade? Tyler will lend you a tree. Need a runway for ambition? Killeen's diversity and momentum surprise people daily. The right city is the one that lowers your shoulders the moment you cross the city limit sign. At the end, 15 cities. One through line, possibility. Not the polished, live, laugh, marble countertops kind. The kind where your expenses stop shouting long enough for your plans to speak. Longview's balloons, Amarillo's wide skies, Odessa's grit, Midland's balance, El Paso's sunsets, Tyler's roses, Beaumont's gumbo grit, Harlingen's warmth, Brownsville's border bright future, Corpus Christi's salt steady days, Lubbock's horizon, Wichita Falls reliability, Abilene's community, San Angelo's river rhythm, and Killeen's practicality. Each offers a different doorway into the same house, a life you can afford to live. You'll trade a few big city frills. You'll collect different kinds of riches. A shorter mortgage, a deeper porch, weekends that don't need reservations, neighbors who notice when your porch light goes out and show up with a ladder anyway. That's the bargain on the table across Texas right now. So if your budget is tired of losing staring contests with your bills, print the map again. Trace new highways with your finger. Load the playlist. Fill the cooler. And remember, in a state this big, there's always another town where the dream still fits. See you on the road, and maybe, just maybe, on a new set of keys. Safe travels and happy house hunting.